was a dark and stormy night when Sarah arrived at the old mansion in Lithuania. She had been hired by a wealthy investor to clean the place up and perhaps turn it into a new tourist attraction. Sarah had heard some rumors about the mansion being haunted, but she had brushed them off, thinking that it was just an urban legend. As soon as Sarah entered the place, she was struck by the imposing and somewhat ominous presence of the mansion. It felt like it was alive and was watching her every move. But Sarah was determined and started her work right away. She started with the drawing room, which was so dusty that she had to sneeze several times. As she was cleaning, she heard a woman's voice crying out, begging for help. Sarah couldn't find the source of the voice and eventually decided to ignore it, thinking it was just her imagination. But the voice never stopped, following her throughout the mansion. The scent of blood was also in the air, and Sarah could feel a cold presence watching her. Eventually, Sarah discovered a secret passage hidden behind a bookcase. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to explore it. The passage led deep into the bowels of the mansion, where she found the old baron's study. The room was covered in dust and cobwebs, and she saw a portrait of the old baron named Jen. As she turned to leave, the portrait's eyes followed her, and she heard a voice whispering her name. Sarah spun around in terror, but there was no one there. As Sarah turned to leave, her heart racing with fear, the voice whispered her name again, louder and more insistent this time. She could feel the eyes in the portrait boring into her back, as if staring into her very soul. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong in this mansion. Suddenly, Sarah felt something brush past her, and she could hear the floorboards creaking in the empty room. She whirled around to face the portrait, but now it was different. The face in the portrait had changed. It was no longer the old baron. Instead, she saw a young woman with long black hair, pale skin, and a ghastly expression on her face. It was as if the portrait had come to life. Sarah tried to scream, but her throat felt like it was closing up. The woman in the portrait moved down from the wall and stepped onto the floor, her hair trailing behind her like a dark veil. She walked slowly and gracefully, the light from the moon casting a gentle glow around her. As she moved, her dress swayed in time with her steps, sparkling in the night. When she reached the center of the room, she stopped and looked around, her gaze sweeping the room in search of something. The woman's eyes met Sarah's, and Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She tried to run, but her legs felt like lead, and she couldn't move. The woman reached out her pale, ghostly hand towards Sarah, and Sarah felt a cold grip on her arm. Suddenly, the room was filled with a bright, white light, and Sarah felt herself being lifted off the floor. She could hear the howling wind and the sound of thunder as the mansion shook violently. When Sarah finally opened her eyes, she found herself back in the drawing room, lying on the floor. She was shivering and sweating, and her heart was pounding in her chest. She could still feel the cold grip of the ghostly hand on her arm. Trembling, Sarah picked herself up and stumbled out of the mansion. She vowed never to return to that place again. It was the most terrifying experience of her life, and she knew that the mansion held secrets and horrors that no one should ever have to face. From that day on, Sarah made it her mission to warn others about the dangers of venturing into that haunted place. She shared her story with her friends and family, and even posted about it on social media. Her warning went viral, and soon people from all over the world began sharing their own experiences of haunted mansions and ghostly encounters. Sarah realized that her experience had a profound impact on her, and that she had a newfound passion for horror storytelling. She began writing her own spooky tales, and even started a podcast where she could share her stories with the world.